Good morning. They say takes two to make a tango. And in politics and in diplomacy, it takes two to wreck an organization and to destroy all pretensions of facing a common enemy, even if it's a presumed enemy. Turkey has been a member of NATO right from the day one. It was a main key player as a frontline state against Soviet Russia. It was a bulwark that was created to stem the rise of Russia by USA and Europe, and Turkey was in the forefront. But does that remain so? NATO is an organization that was created with a certain purpose in mind, and it continues to remain so. As a matter of fact, its major competitor, Warsaw Pact, died long back, and it is time for us to ensure that this organization, which is an albatross around the peace concept, well, it's going its way, it's dead as dodo. At the most, or at the best, you can say that it's a life sport. And the latest developments, two of them, imagine, NATO is an organization to protect Europe against Russia. And who protects it? Canada and USA. And USA is now slowly but perceptibly withdrawing. Not so Canada. And then they created a missile defense force against Russia. And the cost of that missile defense was estimated at $1.1 billion, which is supposed to be borne by the NATO countries. And do you know? Canada agreed to contribute $77.9 million towards this operation and an additional $60.1 million. That total comes to $130 odd million for this purpose. Well, you might say that it is a contributory effort, so it should be there. Okay. Look at the other side. The first line of defense is Turkey. In case there is a war, the first country to be affected would be Turkey, so the missile defense is supposed to be there. Right? And Turkey has not agreed for this missile defense. It has created its own missile defense system. And do you know from where it has purchased? From Russia. It is spending $2.5 billion to purchase Russian missile defense system. Now the point is, against whom is this defense system? Is it against Russia? Would Russia supply a defense system to an enemy country against itself? It's a contradiction in terms. And secondly, Russian defense system is not incompatible with the NATO defense system. But Turkey has a point. They say, well, in case we take up NATO defense system, then we have to follow the conditions laid by them. And Russian defense system does not lay down any constraint. So the country under Erdogan agreed to pay $2.5 million for the Russia's most advanced missile defense system. What does that mean? That 60 years of association of Turkey and NATO come to an effective end. The agreement sees Turkey receiving 2 batteries as 400 missile batteries within the next year, that is 2018, and also manufacture 2 batteries within Turkey. Turkey there reached the agreement Despite the objections of NATO, as a matter of fact, under pressure from USA, Turkey had given up the plan to buy this missile defense system from China. And now it goes and buys from Russia to protect itself from Russia. What a travesty of the reality. And why is it so? You see, the recent Middle East war has made Turkey disappointed with Europe and USA. And this missile purchase is a symptom of that. You know, what happens is that this system would prevent Turkey from deploying the system on the Armenian border, on the Greek border, so it can be used only for its own surface. It can be used anywhere in the country, but it will be a good boost for the Turkey. But it will be death blow for NATO as a whole. The biggest problem has been the Kurdish problem. Turkey wanted Europe to declare Kurds as a terrorist group. But the fight that Kurds had given to ISIS is exemplary. Peshmerga, especially the women soldiers of Peshmerga, have really done wonders. And I'm sure that any country which has soldiers like Peshmerga women should be proud of them, because they are the real defenders of the country. Now, against Turkey's investment of 2.5 billion to purchase its own missile system, look at what's happening in Canada. This is a study in contrast. Canada remains outside the ballistic missile defense in North America. Now, USA and Canada have a treaty to protect Canada against air attack, but not against missile attack. Try to understand it. Because air attack means the jets coming on the Canadian soil, in the Canadian airspace, and stuffing it and bombing it. So USA would unleash its fighters and bombers and jets to fight them. But in case a missile is fired from a submarine, or from a ship in sea, or from the mainland of any country, Russia or China or XYZ, then there's nothing to protect Canada against. So USA requested Canada rather very clearly that, look, let's also have a North American missile defense the way they want to have a European missile defense. And Canada didn't agree with that. As a matter of fact, in the fall of 2015, that's the last year before last, Harjit Sajjan had asked for this plan, and the Canadians wanted to contribute to this plan, and the initial system was pegged at 1.1 billion for the NATO plan. However, the North American plan was much cheaper, which the Liberal government under Paul Martin rejected. Now imagine you are spending 130 million to defend Europe against a missile attack, which may never happen, or which may happen. But why not defend yourself first? You do not have I was amazed when I came to know that the Canadian Defence Services do not have an exact tally of exact cost of the share. Is it 2% or more than 2%? And definitely, Canada considers NATO system to be solely for the protection of NATO European territory, population, and forces. What about Canadian population and sources? What about Canadian defense? Paul Martin, when he was the Prime Minister, said, no, we don't want it. And the same policy is being accepted today. Now, this is amazing. Since Paul Martin left 15 years almost back, 12 to 15 years back, much water has flown down the Lawrence River. Geopolitical situation has changed drastically. America, which was the big brother, is becoming more introvert and more withdrawn. And the vibes between the two leaders, the Prime Minister of Canada and the President of USA, are not very happy ones and not very healthy ones. So, there is a contradiction that you pay to protect Europe from the missiles of a rogue state, but you don't spend a single penny to protect North America. And when Jordan Owen, the spokesperson for Harjit Sajjan, said, it is not inconsistent for an international alliance to have common defense policies. While individual nations have their own policies, yes, have common policies. But do you build a wall around the community in which you are living, but exclude yourself from that? There's a time-old and time-honored proverb, charity begins at home. Safety begins with itself. You remember I was talking the other day that even in the airlines, in case of an emergency, you are asked to put on an oxygen mask on your face, even before helping your own children. And here, curiously, you have not taken any precaution to protect your people, your territory, your resources. But you are spending over 130 million for European defense. I have no problem with your spending on that, but look at the contradiction. Turkey, which would be the most effective state in case the war happens between Europe and Russia, goes to Russia and buys its own ballistic missile defense program. And there's a logic in that. A missile defense program would be located in a third country or in one country. It can't be all over. By the time, in case the same thing happens, what happened to the nuclear plant of Iraq? One person sabotaged the whole plant. One Israeli. Just one. And the same thing can happen anywhere. And you are left protectionless. Yes, that's the part. And suppose that country today had been Turkey. Let's assume for the sake of argument. And today that country is likely to withdraw. Likely to, may not, but then it's an end. When the common defense concept is broken, then against whom you are defending? You are buying a product for defending yourself from an enemy from whom you want to defend yourself. And you see, this is a curious situation of an organization. Two major members, one which is not a part of Europe, but is going there to protect them, and fails to protect itself. And what sort of a bravado is that you protect yourself from others and the robbers, but you leave your house open for the robbers to come in? And the other one goes to the robber, according to them, and says, okay, give me something to defend myself. So this contradiction, this dichotomy, is sounding the death knell of NATO. And what long back President Trump had envisaged might happen in near future. The only thing is that the people who are myopic, especially if they happen to be leaders, cannot comprehend the exigencies And therein lies the tragedy. That's the beginning of the tragedy. This action of Turkey in having its own independent missile defense system supplied by Russia and the myopic approach of Trudeau government in not having a missile defense system for North America, but investing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in investing common defense, missile defense system in Europe. Doesn't make sense. And when something doesn't make sense, when something appears to be queer and quirky, when something appears to be weird, then the danger is inherent and is there. How long that danger and how soon that danger confronts you is a matter of time. Hope it doesn't do so, but then that hope would just be a poison. Thank you.